Firstly, we would like to acknowledge that Saskatchewan Polytechnic is situated on Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 territories and the ancestral lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota peoples and the traditional homeland of the Métis. So first things first here, I'll ask Savannah if she hasn't already, or someone to send that link to the Truth and Reconciliation website. It has a more well-written idea of what a land acknowledgement is and why we do it. But I'm going to do my best to sort of explain, as someone who's not from Canada nor is Indigenous to these lands, what it means, I would say, to me. So number one, this is a formal statement that recognizes the relationship between Indigenous peoples of this land and, again, this land that, especially right now, where we call Canada. So it's really, really important that we understand that there's a very long, complicated history between, what we call settlers, so those of us who are not Indigenous to this land, and those who are Indigenous to this land. So, with all of this education that we can do for ourselves, there's still more and more to learn every day. There's a lot that brought us to reside here, and it's really important for us to seek our place within this very complex history. It's really important to know as well that land acknowledgements they don't exist just in the past tense. It's not a historical context. Like, it is something right now. Colonialism is a current ongoing process. All of us have a role in it, and we always need to educate ourselves more and more. I also really recommend every single campus has an Indigenous center that you can visit. Some days there's elder services, but there's always an Indigenous advisor there. So if you ever have any questions at all, like, there's no dumb question. If this is like very new to you, or maybe you thought you knew a lot about this, but you're like, oh, there's a lot more, please feel free and go. Actually, I shouldn't say feel free. I encourage you to go to your Indigenous center on campus and seek a little bit of education and learning and have some fun too. There's beading, there's all sorts of things you can do. So I really recommend visiting those centers when you can. Okay. All right. So just a little glimpse here at your student life at Sask Polytech. Of course, academics are important. That's really why you're here. But what we at Student Engagement do is make sure that everything in between classes is, whether it's fun or informative or all of the above, that's what we're here to do. So I'll introduce you to some members of our team. So if you are in Prince Albert, this is a face you will see a lot. This is Nadine Craig. You'll especially see her a lot during Welcome Week, which we will discuss a little bit later. It will be fun. So anything that you need, or if you don't even know what you need, you just have questions and say, where do I go? What am I doing? What can I do here? Then Nadine is your person, and you will see her around. And then we have Savannah, who is the Saskatoon coordinator. So you will definitely see her around as well. I'll actually let her go ahead and wave and say hello.
Hi, everyone.
There she is. Okay, so if you are in Saskatoon, you will be seeing her around as well. Her office, she has a great space. There's her office, and then there's a nice student services area where there's like a microwave and tables and so on. So always feel free to chat with her. And then in the south, there's two of us in Regina. So there's Amanda Powers, who is not in this meeting, but you can't miss her. Once you know her, you know her. Her last name is very fitting. She is a very, very powerful person with a lot of personality, and she keeps it light. She keeps it fun. She will be all over the place for Welcome Week as well. That's me. Hello. I'll be between Moose Jaw and Regina. So if you're in either of those South campuses, you will definitely see me around. And of course, we have Heather McMaster, who is representing Moose Jaw. I'll let her say hello.
Hi, everyone.
That's Heather. And of course, you'll see that face once you convocate as well, because she is also our convocation coordinator. So you'll see her at the very beginning and the very end, and of course, everything in between. You can also email our general email here at studentengagement@saskpolytech.ca, which I will be bringing up 1,000 times in this meeting, so you're not going to forget this email. Basically, the way I can see it is, when in doubt, if you're just not sure what questions to ask or who to ask, just come to us and we will send you where you need to go. So if you have any questions about this meeting, for example, or anything about any of the services we talk about, just go straight to student engagement, and then we will get you in contact with the people you need to be in contact with. Okay. All right. So if you want to find information about, I would say more like Welcome Week and everything involving orientation, that will be on the main page. This is the saskpolytech.ca page. You will go under Student Services here, and then Academic and Learning Services, and then Orientation. I assume that most of you are familiar with the page because I believe you had to visit that page either to register for this, unless you just saw the initial email that went out. However, I know there was links to the orientation page there as well. And I know that that word orientation is used a lot, and it's probably really confusing and daunting. Just think of it like a blanket term for just all of the pieces for, making sure your first day on campus is smooth. So you'll have like a program orientation. That'll just be something that your programs have that, will go over just what to know about your class and so on. That's going to be the first day. You don't have to prep for that. All good. This is sort of what we're in right now is like part of the orientation process. But again, this isn't like the only orientation. There's also the Bright Space orientation course that I recommend you all take because there's really good prizes that you can win if you take the course and finish it. There's also prizes you can win by coming to these sessions. So I will draw from a list of students who showed up, and someone will get either a speaker or headphones or a paddleboard or a bunch of Sask Polytech swag, all sorts of stuff. So just keep that in mind. And of course, the thing I want to really emphasize is Welcome Week. I won't go too far into it, but the first 2 days, because essentially, as you all may know, depending on when your program starts, but most start on August 29th. We have the Thursday, Friday. That'll be like more, introductory. So when you show up to classes, we'll be there at the front welcoming you, making sure you have some snacks and so on. And of course, we will show you where you need to go. And then the following week will be all the fun stuff. So I don't want to spoil it, but if you go to the page, you'll see what we got going on. All right. Oh, and then there's also international orientation, which most of you who are international should have gotten information about that. If you did not, you can reach out to me or reach out to international. But that will be in the information I send after the fact, after this presentation. So don't worry if that isn't super familiar to you. It will be. It'll be that week before the first day. Okay. So we're just going to kind of go in order here of like meeting you where you're at, right? So the first thing we want to worry about when we get here is getting settled and connected. So what I do recommend, if you can, on August 13th, it will be at 8:30 a.m. Saskatchewan time. I want you to try and come to this question and answer Q&A session. It is dedicated to, you can, oh, excuse me, I almost sneezed. Nope, not going to sneeze. Oh, I hate when that happens. So this is going to have representatives from different departments that are really integral in your getting settled and connected goals, I guess you can say. So we'll have someone from the Student Association, so the SPSA. We'll have someone from Accounts Receivable talking about tuition. I'll be there talking about housing and so on and so forth. So you don't want to miss that. If you haven't registered already, you can either take your phone right now and scan this QR code, or there should be a link sent in the chat, and it will also be in the PowerPoint that is, of course, sent to all of you after this. Okay. So for some of these essentials, where you can find these links would be, again, on the main page under Student Services, and then campus services. And then we got childcare, housing, lockers, and parking and transit, plus many more, but these are the ones that I'll be discussing more in length today. All right, are we doing okay? How's everyone doing? Good? Well, I can't hear you, but I assume you're good. I assume one of my colleagues here will go, no, it's a disaster if it was. So I'm going to trust them. Okay, so number one, housing. Where are you going to live? I believe most of you have probably looked into this already, especially those of you who are, coming from not the city that you are residing in. So all information, though, about housing will be on the housing page, saskpolytech.ca/housing. So every campus, with the exception, or I'm sorry, Prince Albert, is the only campus of all of our other campuses that has like formal on-campus housing, which Applications could be tight right now if you haven't applied yet. It's not too late, but those sometimes fill up pretty quickly. So just as there are with all the other campuses, there are options to look elsewhere, like rentals.ca or Kijiji, Craigslist, places like that. However, we are here for you to make sure that, because it's not regulated in the same way student housing would be, as student engagement, we are here to make sure that you know what you're, I guess you could say, getting into, right? That you know your rights as a tenant and you know kind of what to look for, what not to, what you shouldn't trust with a landlord or something like that. Of course, for the most part, people are good, people are well-meaning, but it's good to be just kind of educated on, not, you don't want to be put in a vulnerable position. And, we have dealt with this before. So if you ever need help with navigating stuff like that, just let us know. Uh, if you are in Regina or Saskatoon, you do have a nice option where you can actually utilize the U of R, so the University of Regina. They have on-campus housing, so the university, and then University of Saskatoon is in Saskatoon, or I'm sorry, University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon also has on-campus housing that you can utilize. So that information is on the website. But if you do want to know a bit more about that, again, just reach out to us at Student Engagement and we'll get you that information. Moose Jaw is just you gotta find like luckily a lot of those neighborhoods are very used to having students rent out, so people have a lot of experience with that. So it's not impossible or hard or anything to find a place. It's just a matter of how far do you want to be from campus? Do you have a vehicle? Are you going to be riding the bus? These are just things to consider. And again, sort of speaking of that, just always make sure to use Google Maps or anything to just to route how far you are from campus. Again, if you don't have a car, right, you got to make sure you're close to a bus stop. And especially in the winter, which those of you who aren't from here, our winters are pretty cold. It's manageable, but they're not the warmest. So you want to make sure that you won't have to be stuck walking, 20 kilometers in the snow to campus. Okay. All right. I feel like I probably shouldn't show this right now because our virtual tours link is broken right now. I'm not sure why. So gotta see what WebAdmin can do. But typically there's 360-degree footage of the campuses. It's like they're virtual tours online. Hopefully that'll start working soon so you can get an idea of what everything looks like before you get here. If you are here already, we do have campus tours in person that you can attend. You don't need to register. You just show up at that campus's main entrance. Again, I can't seem to remember the dates off the top of my head, but that information will be in the follow-up email that I will send to everyone. All right. So transportation, as I said before, make sure you have a plan. If you are looking for bus passes, you will want to, I would recommend getting those through the SPSA. So again, the Sask Polytech Students Association. It's an area that is pretty hard or pretty easy to find on each campus. They also have used textbooks and lots of other services that we will discuss, but you can just go right to them and ask about getting a bus pass for your city, and you'll be able to do that. But if you, for some reason, have some issues with that, you can also go straight to the local transit authority, like Regina Transit, Moose Jaw Transit, and so on. We do have parking on all of our campuses. So there is designated student parking, but to make your life a lot easier, I recommend, not going and doing like a meter every single time. You can actually download this app called Honk Mobile, which I'm sure many of you may be familiar with those sort of, credit card payment apps for parking so that you don't have to put a ticket in your car. So Honk Mobile is nice because you select, an area, your parking area, and you can pay for that parking spot by day, by semester, by year. It's really, really nice. And obviously, like most things, it's more cost efficient to do like a year or something, right? It's definitely something to look into there. Yeah, I would say pretty much every campus you'll want to pay for the parking. Moose Jaw, sometimes you can get away with street parking, but I don't know, for peace of mind, especially in the winter, I would just get that student parking personally. I don't like to walk around in the cold. We also do have lockers, so they are available right now. So you're just in time. However, I typically recommend you wait until at least your first day of classes. Like lockers won't all fill up. That likely won't happen. And the reason why I say that is because, depending on your campus, you don't want to rent out a locker ahead of time, but not know where your classes are. Because then what if you have classes on like, that's way far away from your locker? Don't want that. So you should be able to wait till that first day to get a locker, or you can apply for one like the day of, just so that you can get an idea of where your classrooms are, and then you can decide where your locker spot will be after that. And you're given one of the locks that takes like three, like one over, two, or three over, two over, one over. If that's a lock that isn't familiar to you, just you can just come talk to us and we can help you. Those are the locks that are given out. So you will have to learn how to use those. Combination lock, that's the word. All right. And you can apply for that. There's the lockers link on saskpolytech.ca. There's also an option on your My Sask Polytech for lockers. Anything about My Sask Polytech, you will learn from Heather in the latter half of this presentation. So do not fret. Okay, so we love talking healthcare. Woo, healthcare. So I'm not going to go too far into this because especially if you're international and this is something that's a little bit like, oh, like what is this? What do I have to do? Your international orientation will discuss how to do all of this. But number one, through the student association, you can get certain health coverage. So, a certain amount of money covered for vision, for dental, things like that. You can opt in or out. I know there was a student earlier that was saying that I think it's supposed to be 30 days prior to your program that you can opt in and out, but I know that this information is only getting to you now. So if you reach out to the student association and, discuss it, there should be an option for you to, even if you wanted to opt out, but it's been the 30 days, don't worry, just talk to the SPSA. We'll get that figured out, or they'll get that figured out. So just don't let that scare you. So if you are not from Canada, or I'm sorry, from Saskatchewan, and you do not have a Saskatchewan health card, you can't utilize these benefits through the student association until you have a Saskatchewan health card. And again, those international orientations, if you are from out of country, of course, will discuss that. However, if you are from out of province and you are not an international student and you won't be attending those orientations, you can always reach out to us and we can kind of show you how to do it. You just go through the Government of Canada website, or I think it's or saskatchewan.ca, and you apply on there. You essentially just need proof of your residence in Saskatchewan. So whether that's like a utility bill with your address or anything like that, then that is what you'll need to do. Right? And then, yeah, this is the area where you'll see the information about opting in and out, what your plan entails, and so on. All right. And I know some of you are amazing and have children and still going to school, which is super, super awesome and admirable. And you are wonderful. So most campuses, I have to say most, so every campus with the exception of Moose Jaw does have on-campus childcare options. So if you want to learn anything more about that, that will be, again, it'll be in that area I showed you on the website. Or if you're like me, and I don't have time to click around, I just go on Google and I type childcare Sask Polytech and the page will pop up. There's all the necessary contacts there for you to reach out to for figuring out your childcare. If you are in Moose Jaw, do not worry, you're not out of luck. If you just go to the Saskatchewan website here, then you'll find options for childcare in the city. Again, Moose Jaw is not a very large city, so nothing will be very far away. There's lots of options for you. All right. Ooh, and we're talking about the second most fun thing is money, is paying tuition. Woo! So, yeah, unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. School is not free. I know. I wish it was, but maybe one day. So, of course, yes, you need to pay tuition. To find more information about your tuition and fees, you will go from the main page on admissions. You'll go to tuition and financial aid, and then tuition and fees. And then there's these other options here about student awards and for when it comes tax season, how to get your income tax receipts and what those are. different options for financial assistance and student loans, and so on. So with tuition and fees, pretty much everything, unless you have some specific questions, you can contact your accounts receivable team at your campus. But for the most part, in terms of like paying and payment options and anything involving loans, you will actually go through enrollment services. So again, if you want to know your campus's enrollment services options, if you just go to the website, click that search button and go enrollment services, you will see all the information for all campuses. However, you can also go to them in person once you are here. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. They are here. So that's where any student loan related issue will be taken care of. There's multiple ways to pay your tuition. So you can pay it right on campus. You can do it right through your bank. And you can also do it through Pay My Tuition, which is this third party payment option, like similar kind of like to PayPal, but it's like specific to Pay My Tuition, to paying your tuition. So that's something you can check out as well. And the due date for your tuition, the last day to pay your tuition without incurring other fees is the first day of classes. So most of you, that will be August 29th. So due date for tuition is first day of classes. All right. If you haven't paid it already, you can pay it whenever. Just again, once it's first day of classes and then afterward, I can't promise there won't be some fees on top. So you want to try and get that paid as soon as possible. Okay. All right, we're going right into different areas of academic success, which is also pretty important when you're attending a post-secondary. Go figure. All right. So yes, you guessed it. We do have a specialized Q&A session on August 14th that is dedicated to academic success. So you know the drill. Scan this QR code on your phone or click the link that will be sent in the chat. And you can join at, again, 8:30 CST, 8:30 a.m. Okay, so might be kind of early for some of you or not. Maybe that's late. I don't know. That's early for me, but that's neither here nor there. We'll have a representative from Learning Services who may or may not be in this meeting right now. We'll also have someone from the library, from Accessibility Services, and so on. Okay, so just a few things. This is for anyone, but especially those of you who may have never attended a Canadian institution before. It is very, very, very important to, number one, show up for classes. Okay, that seems obvious, but you know, in programs like you have at Sask Polytech, you know, maybe you went to a 4-year university before and you had some elective classes that, you know, like you didn't really need to go to and so on. Yeah, Sask Polytech's not quite like that. It's a very intense program. That's the point, right? It's not a 4-year degree. It's a 1 to 2, you know, depending on your program, 1 to 2 years of intensity, like a full-time job. So one day missed, I would say, is sort of like missing a week of maybe 4-year. That's how I see it. So of course things come up, and of course, you know, there's it's more just for unaccounted for absences, right? Because some programs actually like will take off points from your grade, or like your grade will be docked because you didn't show up to classes a lot. Like attendance might be really important to some instructors. Typically, it's very important. It's also very important to be on time. And when I say on time, I don't mean within 5 minutes after, I mean on time. Usually you want to plan for like 10 minutes before. I'm someone who is not very good at being on time, I'll be very honest with you. So I have a rule. I give myself Kelsey time. So if I have a class at 9, my class is at 8:30, right? I assume it's earlier and then I show up earlier. It's a little trick I have to play with myself because I'm very bad with time. So I have to learn this too. And again, yeah, some programs, if you're late a lot, you might get points off, right? So just again, make sure you understand this is quite a commitment. It's a great institution. And the beautiful thing about it is that you are kind of, you know, you do your program and then you go right into the experience, right into the industry. And that's what's really, really great about a polytechnic like this. The trade-off, though, is it's a lot of work. So you got to be ready for that. Okay. So if you want to read some fine print, just because sometimes it's nice to know, feel free to read the Student Code of Conduct, the Academic Student Code of Conduct. It concerns academic integrity, fairness, giving credit where credit is due, that sort of thing. So I won't go too far into it because you'll learn more about this. Well, you'll learn more about this as you go, but citation and referencing work that is not yours in whether it's an essay or an assignment or anything is a non-negotiable at Sask Polytech. So citation is different for everyone, especially the beautiful thing about Saskatchewan Polytechnic is so many students come from all over, whether it's out of province to out of country. But the thing is that citation is just different everywhere, right? So you just want to get oriented to what we expect here at Saskatchewan Polytechnic. So number one, academic integrity is a term you're going to hear all the time. It essentially is exactly what it sounds like. It's integrity in the way that you do your work. So again, an example of this, if you've written an essay and you have like an idea that you got from a book, you can't just say the idea and move on. You got to give credit to who had that idea in the first place, right? And it can get a little bit confusing sometimes. So that is why we have the library and learning services and different groups that can help you navigate this stuff. So please utilize these services because they are free and it'll get you out of trouble. So you do not want to get in trouble for plagiarism. That is not great. So in order to help you learn a little bit more too, all students this year are required to take the Orientation to Academic Integrity Brightspace course. So I'm going to just tell you all right now, we had this issue this morning. Do not panic if you do not see this course available right now in your Brightspace. Do not worry. Not everyone is enrolled yet. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle between different programs wanting to use different versions of the course. So if you are not in there right now, do not panic. Do not worry. You eventually will be put in. I think the rule is that you should be taking it within 60 days of the start of your program. So that doesn't mean 60 days before your program. That means within 60 days after you have begun your program. So once again, do not panic if you cannot see it right now. Please do not worry. And again, if you have course specific issues, so maybe you're taking the course and, I don't know, there's a question that doesn't make sense and, something like that. And there's genuine questions about the course content itself. Feel free to email academic.integrity@saskpolytech.ca. But for any technical issues, like there's an actual issue with the course itself, like, an IT issue, then you'll reach out to our tech services team, which we'll send the information in a bit. So again, just all I can say, do not panic if you are not enrolled in this course yet. It is all good. That was like 90% of the questions in our first session this morning because we had another. So just wanted to kind of nip that in the bud there. So as I said before, the library and learning services are here to help you out. The library isn't just a big place of books. I mean, it absolutely is that, which is wonderful. But we have librarians who help with, research and citation and, anything involving that, because research is not easy, and there's different types of research you can do. If something like, Boolean terms, like anything like that isn't familiar to you, the library has that information. Similarly, learning services also helps with this sort of thing, but they also help with, whether you need help with your course content, maybe you're taking statistics and you're like, I don't get this. That would be me. Or maybe you just haven't written an essay, you haven't been in school for however many years and you haven't written an essay and, since 1994. Then we can help you. Not we, I used to work for learning services. I like to pretend I'm still there. But they can help you with essay writing, outlining, formatting, grammar, reading comprehension. Maybe you don't know how to study efficiently. Again, that would be learning services. The way I can tell you about learning services, the best way to sell you on it, it's free tutoring. It's free tutoring. You get tutoring for free, capital F, free. So please utilize these services. All of the services I talk about today are free. That's part of your tuition. So please utilize them. Okay, we're here to make sure the academic integrity stuff is not to punish you. It is to make sure that you don't get in trouble. It's really to avoid punishment. And also so you understand, how to give credit where credit is due. It's a very important thing to do. If you do get any sort of grade related issue, or maybe you are accused of plagiarism and you are like, absolutely, you don't know where it came from, you don't know why, you can always talk to a student advocate through the Students Association. They are essentially like your lawyer, like free lawyer. So that is always an option. We also have accessibility services, which is really great because, maybe you have a diagnosed learning disability that makes certain aspects of academia a little bit trickier, right? Maybe in terms of reading comprehension, there's just, there might be another step that would make that easier. If you're visually impaired, hearing impaired, anything like that. If you have ADHD, just anything that might make studying and sort of the quote unquote, natural order of studying a much more difficult process. That's what accessibility services is there for. They can help you with certain accommodations to make sure that we're meeting, that there's some equity, right? Everyone has the same options. So if you maybe don't have a diagnosed learning disability, but you feel like you may, you feel like sometimes it's just difficult to really absorb information in certain ways, or maybe you have a hard time, you don't have visual impairments, but you have a hard time absorbing text that's written on a screen, which is actually very common. And you need things printed. These are all options that you can do with accommodations. So please contact accessibility services for any of that. They can also refer you to get formally assessed for a learning disability if you feel that you may have one. They don't do the assessment themselves, but they do help you get that assessment that you need. All right. Are we doing okay? I don't think nobody's turned off their microphone and been screaming, so I think we should be okay. All right, so another question that we often get, do I have to buy textbooks? Are textbooks part of my tuition? Do I have to pay for them? I always say the inevitabilities in life are death, taxes, and paying for your textbooks. Unfortunately, textbooks are not part of tuition. So there's a few options here. So number one, buy the textbooks, right? That is always something that needs to be done. It's just, you'll get the most out of your classes with your textbook. Often you do have to buy them brand new, which sometimes could be a bit pricey. However, depending on the book, depending on the program, there might be some used textbooks through the SPSA. So if you visit the SPSA or go onto their website, I'll show you where to find it a little bit later. You can see if there are some used versions of the textbooks that you need. They're just, of course, at a cheaper rate. However, what you do need to remember is that sometimes there's textbooks that are in older editions, and that might not fly. So say you have, a nursing book, right? I don't know, I'm not creative. A nursing book that's 8th edition, and that's what your instructor wants for you right now. You find a used textbook that's nursing 100, but it's the 3rd edition. I would not recommend getting that because the content is very likely different, especially something like medicine. Things may change all the time as new discoveries are made. Just not good to get an older edition of something. So if you can help that, try and find a current edition. So also some courses you might need stuff beyond textbooks. You might need, like for architectural technologies, for example, you might need like a compass and, different tools like that. So your program head and or instructors should be reaching out to you with that information closer to the start of the school year. So don't panic if you haven't gotten this yet. And if you haven't gotten a formal book list emailed to you, if you go to the campus store or the bookstore online, there is an option to find your textbooks that way. I'm not going to go too into that right now just for the sake of time, but if you do come to our academic success, our Getting Settled and Connected Q&A session, we will have a representative from the bookstore there showing you how to do that. Okay. And again, this is where you find that information. It will be main page, student services, campus store. Or of course, again, Google bookstore, Sask Polytech. Then you click the first thing that pops up. That's what I do all the time. I've been working here for 4 years, and that's what I've been doing for 4 years. So I'd say it works. Again, this is where you find more information about the used textbooks through the SPSA. So on spsa.ca, services and supports, and then used textbooks. Or I'm sorry, services and supports, then services, then used textbooks. All right. So another question that I am sure we will get a few of is questions about your timetables or schedules, things like that. Number one, most of you probably won't have one right now because I know for a lot of, well, I shouldn't say us planners, I'm not much of a planner, but I know Savannah, for example, she's a planner, right? So not having your course list like this far ahead of time feels very like, oh no, a lot of you have jobs, you have kids, you have to figure out your schedule. So we totally understand that. However, it just is dependent on the program, dependent on your instructors, on how they get that course scheduled to you and when. So your courses themselves are typically available if whether you registered for them yourself or if you're international and had them registered automatically, then that is where you'll find information on my Sask Polytech under my course planning. But if you know your classes, but you still don't know your schedule, again, those usually aren't available until closer to the start date of your program. If you really cannot wait that long, if, maybe let's say it's 4 days before school starts and you're like, I need to know my schedule. I need to know right now. You can always reach out to your program head. And if you don't know your program head or don't know who they are, just reach out to student engagement and just let me know what program you're in and what campus, and we will help you figure out your program head. However, for the sake of planning, you should assume that you will be in class full time, like a full-time job. For the most part, most programs are like start around 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and we'll go all day to like 3 to 4 p.m. Sometimes you have night classes. That depends on the program as well. But again, if you need to plan your life out right now and you can't wait for that course schedule, just assume it's all day like a full-time job, 5 days a week. All right. Okay, so now we're going into healthy minds and bodies. So this is really ensuring that while academics is certainly important, your physical and mental well-being are the most important, I would argue. You guessed it, another Q&A. We got it on the 20th. It will be dedicated to this topic. We'll have someone from Fit and Rec, so fitness and recreation. We'll have someone from campus safety and security. We'll have our student relations coordinator there. We will have counselors there, and we will have a health nurse there. So any questions related to your body and mind health, you will come to this. So again, scan that QR code, or you can click that link in the chat, or that will be in the PowerPoint itself that will be sent to you. All right. And I keep saying it, and I'll stay on the soapbox. I don't care, and I'll tell you from experience too. Academics are certainly important. It is not more important than your well-being, I promise. That sounds obvious, but there's stress that is inevitable in classes, right? There's inevitable stress before finals. It's a lot of work, you're studying, absolutely valid. But there comes a point when it's not worth mental turmoil, right? We've all been there. We've all been there where we've worked so hard in something, but then our health just becomes compromised. And that shouldn't be normalized, I don't think. There's hard work and then there's that. So this is why we have different areas in place to hopefully avoid that sort of burnout. So that includes, again, mental well-being aspects like counseling and, of course, physical. So for me, if I'm worked up and stressed out, I need to work out on my lunch break or I'm kind of a monster later. So luckily, when you're going to Sask Polytech, you have a gym on campus and you can always use that. But nevertheless, whether if you're able-bodied to work out or anything, it doesn't have to be about that. It's just understanding that there's a lot more to academic success than just studying a lot, right? So as I said before, we do have a Fit and Rec page. We also have an app. So you get free access to your fitness center on campus. It's through your tuition, right? I mean, that's what tuition entails. So on usually the first week of classes, you'll get a student ID card made through enrollment services, and you'll have a little barcode, and you scan that to get into your fitness center. It's open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., I believe. So yeah, make sure to get a gym, make sure to go to the gym if you can. You don't have to go and run, even if you just need to stretch, if you just need to meditate, do some yoga, use those facilities, right? It's what they're there for. We also have intramural teams. So if you want to play, let's say, I don't know, 3-on-3 basketball, volleyball, cricket, badminton, there's all those intramural options throughout the year. So go on the Fit and Rec page or talk to an instructor on campus about that. There's wellness challenges that are online as well. I know not everyone likes to go to the gym to work out. Sometimes for whatever reason, it's just maybe there's an intimidation aspect, or maybe we just don't want to be around a bunch of sweaty people. Very valid, all of it. You can do workouts at home too with those videos. We also have a health nurse on each campus. Of course, they can't necessarily assist in a full-on emergency, but you can go to them for if you're feeling unwell or anything. And then, of course, if any other measures need to be taken, they know what to do. They are professionals after all. And of course, we have counseling services. And this is when I look right into the camera at all of you and say, please utilize these services. You do not need to be at rock bottom to use counseling. Please remember that, okay? The ideal thing is that you use counseling services to avoid getting to that place, right? Of course, if you are at what you feel is rock bottom, do see a counselor. If you maybe have, whether it doesn't matter if you're having issues with school, you're having issues at home, or maybe you're okay right now, but you're like, I know this is going to be a lot. I have a heavy workload this year. I got a lot of family stuff going on. I want to have some tools in place to ensure that I don't burn out and so on. See a counselor. There's really not like a limit as to how many times you can see them. So, and again, if you meet with one counselor and you're like, there's plenty of others. You can do it through Zoom. You could do it in person. And another nice thing too is that we have Indigenous counselors upon request. So essentially what that means is it's just a different counseling style. So you do not have to be an Indigenous person to go to an Indigenous counselor. It's just typically an approach that's not really like the Western format of counseling. It's different. Sometimes it's more holistic. So give it all a try. I really recommend it. In the non-academic world, in the work world, it is really hard unless you have like pretty good benefits to be able to get counseling for free. So I really recommend utilizing them. And of course, it should go without saying, everything is private, confidential. Of course, if it's, a severe, you might harm others or yourself, of course, that is an issue where it will no longer be confidential. But aside from that, mum's the word. That is the rule. Okay. All right. So now the not quite as fun stuff, but nevertheless important, is everything involving personal safety and student relations. So it's really important to understand that Saskatchewan Polytechnic as a whole operates on this foundation of Mio Wakotuin. So that's a Cree term that I probably said poorly. I apologize. It's a Cree term that means like good relations, good relationships. So that is a huge pillar of our strategic plan or of our mission statement, you can say, of Sask Polytech. Essentially, it just means that all of our services and departments don't exist in silos. We all work together to make sure you are doing your best. So, if you go to someone in accessibility, right? Nothing is siloed. If things are confidential, but if you need the help of pieces from the library, from learning services, from accessibility, which typically is the case for student success, that's normal, that's good. Use everything you possibly can because everything works in tandem. So the student code of conduct, the non-academic code of conduct, is really where things get pretty juicy. So again, some more fine print if you'd like to read it. This stuff's always kind of difficult to discuss because I never want anyone to think that, oh my goodness, there's like all these things in place for all of this stuff. Like, what kind of school am I going to? Every institution has this stuff, right? Because no matter where you are, no matter what, risks are risks and human behavior is unpredictable. So it's just good to have different things in place as safeguards. So the student code of conduct goes through, policies and procedures and ramifications for all sorts of things, whether that's verbal abuse of an instructor or an instructor verbally abusing you, or something as serious as racism, sexism, harassment, things like that. There you can always go to. There's always someone there for you. Student relations would be typically your first point of contact, and then they kind of help you navigate from there. So if you want to just learn more about different infractions and so on and so forth, read that code of conduct. The health, safety, and security page is good for just learning about, what do you do if there's a fire? Where do I go? What are these alarms on the wall, right? We have little yellow alarm systems that go off in different ways for different reasons if they go off. It's also really good. I recommend having, it's called an Alert Us app. It's literally like Alert Us. It's an app so that if there's ever an on-campus like emergency or drill, you'll get that notification on your phone. So It's just good to have. It's not like that happens all the time, but nevertheless, we got to be prepared. Okay, so there's lots of information on that page. There's also information, which I didn't say in the first session, on commissionaires. So commissionaires are essentially like the front desk security people in so many words. And they offer a lot of different things to help you feel safer at school. So, if it's, well, it doesn't matter what time of night it is, but maybe you're studying late into the night and you're by yourself and you're feeling a little uncomfortable about walking to the bus stop by yourself or to your car. Someone from the commissionaires will walk with you. They'll do a safe walk. In the winter, if you're driving, as many of you may know, as I said before, winters get pretty cold. Sometimes our car batteries just can't keep up if we don't have them plugged in. So if you ever need to rent out a battery charger, then you can do that also from the commissionaires, which is really, really nice. All sorts of options there. Okay, so this Sask 211 is a really nice, I would say, kind of like repository of resources where you can find anything on, mental health and addictions, healthcare, again, children, families. So if you're in Moose Jaw looking for daycare, if you go to Sask 211, I think it's an app as well. You can find that information here. You can find information if you are a veteran, different resources for you. Anything like that is on the Sask 211 site. So I really recommend checking that out. Just everything kind of listed in one spot. And of course, finally, we will talk about career and employment services and student awards. So academics, I would say, are, that's the crux of what this institution's all about. It is a post-secondary school after all. But I mean, we go to school to learn, but we also go to school so we can get jobs. So this is where we thrive here. So again, you guessed it, one more Q&A. It'll be on the August 21st. And this session will go over career counseling and student employment services and student awards. And, you can ask whatever questions you want to different departmental representatives. So scan that QR code or click that link and join us. The more of those you go to, the merrier, and also the higher your probability of winning a prize is. So you should go to those. So I don't like to, I know I shouldn't call it free money because obviously in economics, there's that term, there's no such thing as a free lunch, but I don't care. I call student awards free money. Every year, there's thousands and thousands of dollars that go unused because people don't apply for scholarships and bursaries. So apply, please. The site, the student awards site, there is an area it'll take you where you can literally put in like a keyword. So maybe you are, based on your program, or based on, maybe you're an international student and there's something for you there. Maybe you are Indigenous or a part of, an equity group, or a woman in trades and technology, right? There's special awards for you. Or, even if you don't fall under these certain equity groups, there are plenty of awards for everyone. So all you got to do is apply. There's no cost to apply. Like some awards are $500, some are $5,000. So really apply for those. I urge you. The only thing is if you are international and this is your first year, unfortunately, you can't apply for student awards in that first semester, but your next semester. So if you are starting in August, you can apply for student awards in the January intake or January semester. And if you have questions about that, I'm not 100% sure. You can reach out to student awards or you can talk to international, but that is what the situation is with that. Okay, there's also career counseling. So this isn't like normal counseling as we might imagine. So this is essentially like a live personalized aptitude test. So maybe you just, you know what program you're in, but you're not sure like what you want to do. You can talk to someone and kind of discuss, your values, your skill sets, and so on. And a career counselor can kind of help navigate, what would be really fitting for you in the job field. So I really recommend utilizing their services. You can also still utilize career counseling once you've convocated, graduated as an alumni, like go for it, right? We always, no matter how sure you are of what you want to do, sometimes the steps needed to be taken, you might not know as much. Like I talked to our career counselor on our campus because I wanted to go back to school and we had a conversation and she helped me a lot. So I really recommend utilizing that. And you can book an appointment online. Again, if you just want to go to Google, type career counseling and saskpolytech.ca, you will find the page there. And then student employment services are a little bit different. So student employment services are the people directly like linking you to industry, whether that's just like other jobs in the area or industry partners or people who work with Sask Polytech a lot. They will help you with that. On their website, they have a job board that's always changing. So with different job applications or job options that are out there, they will put those jobs on the website or on campus. Sometimes there's like a physical job board with different postings listed. So they can also help you with, if you don't know how to update your resume, or you don't know how to write a cover letter, or you just want to refine your cover letter, practice interview skills, anything like that. Student Employment Services is there. They also run career fairs. There's always a really big one in March on each campus, so definitely go to those. Different lunch and learns, different presentations. That's all through employment services. All right, and our last section here is events at Sask Polytech. So we always have events throughout the year. I mean, I know that goes without saying, but if you want to know where to find more about events, you can go to our events page, saskpolytech.ca/events, or once again, you can just go to Google. I'm going to keep saying that. We also have various social media channels. There's a few Instagram accounts for different areas. So there's a Sask Polytech general Instagram channel. There's also a specialized one for student experience, which is us. It is Sask Polytech Students. Okay, so at Sask Polytech Students, there's one for the library, there's one for alumni, there's one for bookstore, there's one for business, there's one for international, a ton. So just play around on there. We also have Facebook, Twitter, or I'm sorry, X, all sorts of things. Okay, so that information will also be on that follow-up email. There's also an SPSA Connect app, which just shows you different activities that the student associations put on. They always have stuff going on throughout the year too, so definitely keep that in mind. All right, we're almost done because I want Heather to be able to not have to rush. Okay, so finally, please volunteer. Volunteering is so great because yes, everyone is going to tell you that volunteering is great on a resume, and that is certainly true. So true. Volunteering is great on a resume. But volunteering also helps you network and meet different people. It also gives you life experience. It might even make you so lucky as to meet the love of your life, aka your pet cat that you got from volunteering at the Humane Society for a few years. Yes, that's me, based on a true story. That's where I found my cat. I took her for pet therapy when I was volunteering and fell in love, and I adopted her. So lots of good things come out of volunteering aside from just looking good on your resume. Okay, so make sure to go to this website here. I don't know. I know the URL looks a little sketchy, like .net, but either way, it's a great kind of one-stop shop for all different volunteer opportunities in Saskatchewan. And again, you can search based on your expertise or your program by city. So there's a lot there. I really recommend checking it out. Okay. So that is it from me. I don't want to halt for too long. I know we might need a quick like stand up and stretch break. So if you want to, don't go too far from your computer, stand up and stretch. And in the meantime, before Heather gets started, is there any are there any questions that were asked in the chat that might be better vocally answered?
There are a couple good ones, Kelsey. A couple I wasn't sure about. The
Okay.
Q&A sessions that are coming up, are they also going to be recorded and posted on YouTube after?
You betcha. They are.
So that was
That was my Midwest. You betcha.
And the other good question was for students who have student loans, how does that work with if they're not getting their student loans till the 29th? How does that work with paying their tuition? So where would they go to learn about that?
So again, you can go to enrollment services for that. And again, the first day of classes is the due date. If it's the first week of classes, like realistically, it wouldn't be responsible for me to tell you, well, you get a week of a grace period because that's just sort of, I don't think accounts receivable would want me to say that. But you're not going to get docked if you pay a few days later. I think it's usually about a week or so when there's actual like fees added. It just depends. I'm not super sure. But again, if you don't get those loans till the first day of classes, it's okay. Don't worry, pay within that week. But again, I talk to enrollment services just because they are a lot more knowledgeable on that stuff. But again, I don't want you to don't panic. It will be okay. And again, depending on the how late the fees can be minimal to a lot, but you'll be okay. It'll be fine. Is that anything else before I hand it off to Heather? And I know we can definitely do more at the end. I just want to make sure everyone gets a little breather if they need it to. No?
One question that just popped up that I'll talk
Yep.
about quickly, and then I'll segue into my bit.
There we go.
Yes, for most, like absolutely pretty much all of you, you are registered for your classes, like by the institution. So you don't have to worry about choosing days or times or setting up your own schedule. Everything's been pre-done and you're registered as a class. So you're in the same classes as everyone in your program.
Yeah, and again, that's another
Different
good.
than a university or something like that, where you have to kind of puzzle it together yourself. We just do it for you here.
And yeah, Tyler, you can buy your textbooks in person, absolutely. That's usually what people end up doing on that first day. But if you want, if your textbooks are available now, which again, you can check that through the bookstore site, you might be able to order them and get them delivered, or you can like order them and then pick them up. But again, if you want to learn, if you can always email me as well, I can show you the actual link as to where to go. But yeah, again, there will be more information about that if you come to that Q&A session on August whatever day, 12th, 11th. I don't remember. I already forget the dates. Anyway, okay. I'll answer some in the chat. But Heather, I will let you go there. Thank you, August 14th. Thanks, Blair.
All right, everyone. So I'm Heather Tway. I'm from Learning Services on the Regina campus. My colleague Robert Regier is from the Saskatoon campus, also Learning Services. And we're just going to walk you through some of the kind of online systems you're going to use as Sask Polytech students. And I'm going to go through a lot of information. These slides will be sent to you later today, and they have all the links in them. So if you do miss something a little bit, you will get these links later. All right, it's just a quick agenda of what we're going to go through, and basically it's all those online platforms that Kelsey's mentioned a lot of already. So first thing I want to talk about, and a lot of you have probably done this, signed into Sask Polytech or My Sask Polytech, and set up your multi-factor authentication. That's when you attach your account to your cell phone, and you have to put in a code that, to say, yes, it's really me when you go to log in. There are different ways to do this if you do not have a mobile phone. And this link right here, Tech Services Instructions, goes through basically all those options and walks you through how to change your password, how to set up that multi-factor authentication, and the other options. So this is a really useful link right there. And I'll also talk about Tech Services more because they are they're tech services, is what they say. So if you have any issues logging into Brightspace or logging into your account or accessing the Microsoft Office products that you get as a student, they are kind of the people you go to for any of that access stuff. But where I first want to take you is My Sask Polytech. So I always like to think of this as basically your home base as a student. Most of the stuff that people are asking me about in the chat, you access through this. So enrollment verification, if you need to update your address, you need to find the bookstore, find Brightspace, it's all through here. So let's jump over to there right now. So if you're going to My Sask Polytech, I always just say, start from saskpolytech.ca. So if you Google Sask Polytech, you'll come to our homepage, and My Sask Polytech is over here, just slightly to the right, kind of in the top. And once you're on the My Sask Polytech homepage, you're going to see a bunch of these cards. Okay? There'll also be, information at the top here. These tend to be kind of immediate things that you should read. So there might be information. For example, the online academic integrity course is not available to everyone right this moment. It's kind of being launched for you. So if you heard about that and it's not showing up in Brightspace, do not worry, it will show up for you. Below that, like I said, we have these cards. Some are locked in place, and that means basically that they're important. I'm an employee, so mine looks a little bit different than yours, but you should have important links for students basically right here. I've just added it. So this card is almost everything you need as a student. It's kind of right here. First off, it has your email. Now that you're a Sask Polytech student, going forward, you will be getting emails through your Sask Polytech email account. Okay, so anything from your program head will come through this email. I definitely recommend check this at least once a day, basically starting now, but definitely throughout the semesters that you're here. Other things here, Campus Store, aka the bookstore. So find your textbooks, links right there. Brightspace is where you find all your course content, right? We'll go check that out shortly. My Finances, so if you're wondering about your tuition, that is My Finances, this little $sign. And Enrollment Services, if you want to find your verification letters, or enrollment verification, I should say, or transcripts for the future, that's under Enrollment Services. And then we also have Office 365. So as Sask Polytech students, whether you're casual, part-time, or full-time, you get access to Microsoft Office products. So Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all of those for free as a student with us. And I'll show you where to find those shortly. Last thing I just kind of want to talk about on this page is you can add in more cards. Okay? So you can add in a campus bookstore, so you can go directly to your campus or go directly to your book lists. Accessibility Services has a card. Enrollment Services has a card, so you can get right to that enrollment verification, SIN updates, letters, etc. And to find these cards, if they're not currently on your My Sask Polytech, go to this little horizontal hamburger menu over here, and you're looking for the word Discover. Okay, so Discover and this little magnifying glass, this is where you're going to find additional cards you can add to your My Sask Polytech homepage. So you can search using a keyword here. There's some ideas, other things you might want to add. One I always like adding is the library. Even if you don't think you're going to end up using the library a lot, you're probably wrong. You probably will end up using it a lot more than you think. So I do recommend finding this library card, which shows up here, and then to add it to your homepage, to customize it, you just click this little save card to homepage. And when we go back to our homepage, it'll show up right at the top. You can also drag these around, okay, to get the cards you use most right up at the top. So that is kind of the basics to My Sask Polytech, but again, it's kind of your home base as a new student. So the next place I want to take you is this Office 365. So if we click this red button here, it takes you to your Microsoft Office 365 homepage. Here is where you get access. In this very top left-hand corner, this kind of cube of cubes, you get access to all these products that you have access to for free. Word, Excel, etc. These are the online versions, so they absolutely work. If you are in a program that is more kind of tech heavy, if you're using a lot of Excel or PowerPoint, or using other products like Power BI, you probably want to use the full versions. So you can actually download these onto your computer. So to do that, it's this kind of small button over here. It says Install and More. And you just go install Microsoft 365 apps. And this means they're actually downloaded on your computer and you can use them probably like how you're familiar with them. I do recommend doing this because I find I think they're easier to use than the online versions. And you can use it if you're not connected to the internet. They still work. You are able to install these on up to 5 devices. So that means you can install them onto your computer, or if you maybe have 2 computers, you can install them onto, like if you have a tablet, and also your mobile phone. So it's kind of handy that you can get these onto all your devices, and they're available for regular PCs or Mac computers. So any Apple products also get them for free. So that is Microsoft 365. Another thing you might note, I had someone ask me about getting to Brightspace. There's a few different ways to do this, but you can actually get to Brightspace through this page as well. So if it doesn't show up down here, though it should, you can also just search and type in Brightspace. So let's actually go to Brightspace right now. This is what we call a learning management system. It's basically all your course information is. So if you're taking, well, you need to take that academic integrity course, and you're going to find that through Brightspace. To find your courses, you can either scroll down, depending on how many news items you have, that could be kind of a ways down on your page, or mine are. So what I do is I just focus on this top bar. And this, again, the set of cubes over here, called the waffle. I think it looks like a waffle. And it'll show you all the courses you're in. So for example, the Orientation to Academic Integrity, that 1-hour course, is located right here. And you click on it, and you can start it. When you start a course, generally, first step is just to go to Content and open it up. And I like to think of Brightspace as being kind of top down. So you're going to go maybe your table of contents, and then you're going to go top down again, go to your first heading, and once you've actually clicked that heading, kind of opens up like a book, and then you just go through your course page by page. So this is an entirely online course, and that's how this one's set up. So if you have other courses that are entirely online, they will look somewhat like this. If you're an in-person student, you will still have some components of your course in Brightspace. So you generally always submit assignments through Brightspace. You might even be able to access some additional textbook material and stuff through Brightspace. It does vary a little bit course to course, but even if you are an in-person student, you'll still be coming to Brightspace to do stuff. And I just, again, want to reiterate, if you're not seeing this course yet, you will. We're just slowly getting everyone enrolled into it. But definitely by the start of class, you will see your Orientation to Academic Integrity 1 hour, unless, one exception, some programs do take a slightly different 3-hour academic integrity course. So depending on your program, but you will see a course here in your little waffle. What else do I want to point out? We had a really good question this morning about actually submitting things to Brightspace and using what we call like Dropbox. I know some of your programs ask you to submit proof that you've done like your WMIS course or proof that you've done other things ahead of time. You do that through what we call Dropbox. So this is just a little fake class I have set up. If you go to assessments, you'll see a few different things under here. Quizzes, you might often see grades. And Dropbox is basically how you will submit assignments or other documents that your instructor needs. So if you just go to Dropbox, you'll see a list of assignments or requirements. And once you click on this, you'll just be able to attach it kind of like you would an email. Okay. So that is the very basics to Brightspace. And again, you will go through this more with your program. And if you have questions, you can come to Learning Services. But I just kind of wanted to show you the very, very basics. And again, how to access it. So from Sask Polytech, you can either get to it through Microsoft 365, or if you are just wanting to go directly there, the Brightspace logo is located under Important Links, and it always has kind of a little purple dot with a computer monitor on it, and Brightspace, again, will take you right to where we were, your program homepage. All right, I'm going to actually take us a step back for a second. They go slightly out of order. So Sask Polytech, we talked about that. 365, check your email. Okay. So Zoom is something, if you're in an online program that has like synchronous online classes, you might use a lot of Zoom. But even if you, again, are in an in-person course, Zoom is a really handy tool. It's just the video conferencing platform we use at Sask Polytech. Some schools use Teams. It is similar to that. I think it's easier to use, which is nice. And I mean, you're currently doing it right now. So if you are in this meeting, you are already very successful at using Zoom and you're going to be fine. One thing I do recommend is signing into Zoom using your Sask Polytech account. Okay? And this can be new for students. So when we do go to Zoom, say if you're signing in for the first time, hang on, too far, and you just go to zoom.us, which is their homepage, you will see over to the right, you might have chose sign up for free, and that's fine. Okay? Or you might not have signed up at all, also fine. The next time you need to go to a Zoom meeting, so even like those Q&A sessions coming up, go to sign in. Okay? Much like the Microsoft products, you also have a free Zoom account. And I do recommend using the free Zoom account. It gives you access to the Sask Polytech address book, which means it's super easy to set up meetings with classmates or with instructors, or to use Zoom for even recording presentations, right? And it just has much better features than the free one you can get. But again, you have a professional one, you might as well use it. So to use this, you're going to go sign in because your account does exist and we just need to find it. So it's going to give you a few options. You want to scroll down and what you're going to look for is SSO. This means single sign-on. And there's always going to be a key beside it. It looks like kind of a house key. So if you see that house key logo, just click on it. From here, it's going to ask you only for the first time. So first time you're on a new device, it'll probably prompt you for this. And it wants to know your company domain. So that's just basically, who are you here with? Who are you? All you need to remember is you are Sask Polytech. So saskpolytech.zoom.us, that's your company domain. Again, it'll only ask you once, and after that, it'll just remember. You click continue, and it'll then, oh, okay. So I use this pretty often, so it just logged me in automatically. But generally what'll happen then is you will see a really familiar window that's going to ask you for your Sask Polytech email and password, right? Once you're there, you're into your professional account, and you're set to go. All right. I know I'm not stopping for questions right now, but I want to go through just a few more things, and then I will answer questions when I have time. Okay, so Zoom single sign-on. Brightspace, one other thing I just want to quickly mention is that there is a Brightspace app. There's actually two. One of the apps is actually for instructors. So for you as students, you're going to look for Brightspace Pulse app. Okay, so Pulse, kind of like your heartbeat. The logo looks kind of like a heartbeat that you see over here. So Brightspace Pulse app is the one that gives you access on like your phone or a tablet. It's really handy for getting notifications or checking your grades. It can be useful for that. I find it's less great for actually reading through course content. It's just a little clunky. So as far as going through your Brightspace course information, I do recommend doing that on like a computer or at least a tablet. Part of Brightspace that's available to everyone. It's actually an accessibility tool meant for like students with maybe learning disabilities, but I find it's just really useful in general for everyone. So we call Read Speaker. And basically what it does is it just reads content to you. I should say that's part of what it does. It also lets you, one-click web reading, just reads through course or PDFs that might be part of your course or page content. You can also download these audio files, take them with you if you're driving or just, cleaning the house or something and you want to listen to some of your course content. It also lets you translate text into the available languages. Not every language, but still, if there's a phrase or a word or a term you're not sure about, you can right-click and translate. It has a built-in dictionary. So again, you can just highlight, click a word, gives you the definition. And it can also help you kind of follow along as you are reading by like highlighting the text that's being read aloud. So to look for any of these features, you're going to look for this listen and little play button here. And this is available on every Brightspace page. So you'll actually see if we go back to Brightspace, go to content. There, ooh, hang on. Okay, it's not on my fake class. Just kidding. We'll go to a real course. And again, academic integrity, 1 hour. Let's start this course. And there we go. So this is how you would start using Read Speaker. Okay, my very last slide. Oh, my second last slide, I'm sorry. A lot of students I've noticed over the last, especially couple years, have questions about using artificial intelligence, such as generative AI, so things like ChatGPT or Copilot, in their course work. Okay? As a general rule, you need to talk to your instructor. Okay? So some instructors might actually be using artificial intelligence as part of your assignments. Okay? But other instructors might have very strong rules about not using it at all. The thing to remember about AI is that it's a very broad area of computer science, and it can be really useful to you, but it's not necessarily correct. Okay? So an artificial intelligence or something produced by ChatGPT is correct. It's often more a result of luck than anything else. That's how it's built, right? So what we do say, kind of the golden rule for using artificial intelligence or ChatGPT, Copilot, Grammarly, etc., before using any of these tools in your work, you just want to talk to your instructor. Right? And often your instructor will be very upfront about this in your courses and say, yes, this is how you can use it to help you. No, this is not how you can use it. And if you do have any questions, we're going to go now, I think the next slide, where you can get help. So the two main things I have highlighted on this slide, number one is tech services. So if you have problems accessing your accounts or your email, or you can't download those Microsoft products, or Brightspace isn't working, or something in Brightspace isn't working, or you can't change your password or multi-factor authentication, any of that kind of tech stuff, tech services are your people. And they tend to be a little busy at the start of the year because everyone's kind of signing on at the same time, but they are the place to go. So clicking this link right here will take you to their homepage, and it just has a nice clear layout of how you can get help, the types of help that you offer. So if you don't know how to deal with your password, just scroll down and click Password Manager, and it'll walk you through. Learning services. So we can't really help you with password stuff, but we do help you with technology as far as using like Brightspace. So if you're not sure how to use it, how to upload an assignment, how to upload a video, you can come talk to us. We also, of course, help with really anything academic outside of just technology, but we do also help with technology. So if you haven't used Microsoft Word for a few years, you're feeling a little rusty, come see us. We can definitely help you out. Right now, you can make an appointment online. We do have more limited hours during the summer. We also have a Zoom room, which you use just as open Zoom meeting like this. You can pop in, you have questions. These are our fall hours, Monday to Thursday, 10:30 to 3. Currently, our hours are Tuesday to Thursday. Okay, so a little bit reduced at this moment, but come fall, Monday, Thursday, 10:30 to 3, we will help you out there. And you can always just email us. So if it's 3 a.m. at night, you can email learningservices@saskpolytech.ca, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And then the student orientation link that Kelsey took you to earlier has a lot of great information for you as a new student. So I threw that in here as well. Okay, I think I raced through that as fast as I can. We have 4 minutes left. I will stop, and I don't know.
You're not off the hook. You got some questions to answer.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Well, okay, actually, before that, I just want to quickly add, so if you missed the beginning, So the academic integrity course, I think, is sort of stressing people out, understandably, because I know I just put a lot of pressure about it. So number one, a lot of you are not probably enrolled or it's not showing up yet. It just takes some time. It might take till like mid-August. Mainly, again, depending on your program, the rule of thumb is just it needs to be done within 60 days of the start of your program. So that doesn't mean 60 days before your program. I mean 60 days within the 60 days after your program start date. So don't panic if it's not there yet. Programs are just being enrolled at different times. Also, just not to go into all the boring jargon, but some programs there's two different sort of courses, and some programs are are doing different ones. So some of you, as Stephanie, sorry that you were part of this, you were enrolled in both courses for some reason. You do not need to take both courses. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Your program head will ideally be reaching out to all of you about this because it is a bit confusing. But again, even on the first day of classes, if you don't know, you can still ask. It's not going to be too late. All good. But again, don't panic if you don't even have it available yet. It will come. Now, time for some questions for Heather. So, oh yeah, a lot of people are asking about changing your phone number and so on. Yeah, you're going to need to contact tech services. So there's an issue with Zoom. Someone said, I tried to sign up with Zoom with my school provided email, but I got an email saying that I needed to contact my organization's Zoom account admin.
Oh, that's an interesting one. That is definitely tech services.
I know. So we gotta throw them in. And again, just be patient with them. A lot of them are on, a few of them are on holidays still, and it's a pretty intense like time, so they might take a few days. But there was another one from Sophia, who's also you. We had a few questions. Had to answer, made all the, or what did you say, Sophia? All the complicated questions. No, you're fine. Oh, yeah, there was another issue. So poor Sophia, I'm sorry, you're facing everything. So you said, I do not have the important links, the student card that says important links. Sophia does not have that on the page. And also you don't have, it's not available to add into your cards through the discovery page. So that's a my Sask Polytech issue.
That is also tech services. I know we just rolled it out in the spring, and there's been some hiccups. I know for employees, we had all the student service things added for us, and then they got rid of them. And then I'm like, but I want some of them because I like some of them. So that I would probably write an email to tech services and say, hey, these are the 5 things that are going wrong. And honestly, they probably will sort themselves out by like mid-August. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that,
I don't know.
oh, I thought Daryl, that was a good point there. You said, are you using a VPN? Because sometimes if you do use a VPN, like NordVPN or something, it might protect you from certain things. So if you're having issues, maybe that's something you can look into. It doesn't look as though Sophia is using that, but for anyone else who might be having some issues, that could be a thing. That is something I often don't think about. So we don't steal your data, I swear. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't think we do. I would hope we don't.
Well, and that is one thing using, like generally for using Brightspace and the various other programs, they recommend using Edge or Chrome are kind of the 2 browsers that you recommend. So if you're on a Mac computer and you're using Safari, not the best choice for our school stuff, I'm afraid. So you probably want to download Edge or Chrome instead.
Definitely don't use Firefox. Come on. That's like using
A little
Bing.
old school. I love Firefox. How dare you?
Fine.
Off topic. Okay, what other questions?
Oh, and oh, Stephanie, you said you found both in their self-register part of Brightspace. Yeah. Yeah, Robert answered that correctly. Yeah, your program head will indicate which one you will be needing to take. So, um, yeah. So, yeah, again, if any of you have multiple options for the academic integrity course on your Brightspace self-registration, just don't worry about it yet. Just wait till your program heads. Again, I said this in the last session. I forgot to say it now. All of you who are here right now, this, even though, I mean, it's very highly encouraged for everyone to come to these sessions, this isn't like mandatory in the sense of you will not know what to do without this, but you're all what, again, and in the most, I say it in a very positive way, keeners, which means you're proactive and you're here to, figure it all out early. So all of you are 10,000 steps ahead of everyone else for just being here. So a lot of these questions aren't even really things that are addressed yet because it is so early. So just remember that, like, you're learning all the early stuff early, which means some things aren't quite ready. So yeah. Oh, and then yeah, for your student ID. Oh, Heather's got it.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
so any people asking about their student ID, every program will have a specific time that is given to them, like your instructors will tell you. Like on the first day of classes, maybe there's like a time like at 2 p.m. or something in the middle of your class that you'll go and take your picture for student IDs. You don't need to do anything there. That is just that will be a program specific thing. Again, all this stuff will be part of like when you show up to classes, right? But what you're doing here is just learning all about it early and a bit more thoroughly. So what you're going to be doing on that first day of classes is be the expert, and everyone's going to be asking you questions and you're going to know everything. All right. Is there anything else that since you have us? I know it's a little past 4:30, so if anyone does need to go, feel free. Just keep a lookout in your email within the next hour or so, and I will have that follow-up email for you with a bunch of important links as well as a copy of both of these PowerPoint presentations. I do want to add, the majority of you registered with non-SAS Polytech emails, which is totally fine. But you won't be able to have access to these PowerPoints that are shared unless you have a SAS Polytech email. So what I recommend doing, because I will be sending the email to all of the emails, whether it's Gmail, Outlook, or SAS Polytech email. You'll just want to forward it to your SAS Polytech email so that you can then open it from there. So if that's super confusing to anyone, just email me, or you can respond to the email that's sent. But that's what I would do if you want to access them. You see this, Heather? The course offering code is compulsory. Well, what do you mean by the course offering code? Like if the course is offered, you need to take it. Um, Again, typically, except for anything that's you should be automatically registered for things. Um, yeah, Fatima, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Do you maybe want to just maybe clarify? I don't know. Heather, if you're talking, you're on mute. Oh no, you're talking to yourself. Okay. Yeah, I'm not too sure how to answer that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I was just scanning back up through the questions. If you do need to change your like mailing address or your phone number, that is something that's available. I'll just share my screen real quick through on your MySask Polytech. If you add the enrollment services card, so going to that Discover and Enrollment Services, there's a lot of stuff under here, but update address and personal information is under here. So Kelsey's right, if that's not working, contact enrollment services, but in theory you should be able to go update your address and personal information under this enrollment services card.
Yeah, I feel like when in doubt, here's the 3 emails you need to know. If you're having tech issues, go into the tech services page. Okay. If you're having issues with like your courses and schedule or maybe not schedule, you know, student loans, like all of that stuff, enrollment services. Miscellaneous questions that are not international specific, student engagement at southpolytech.ca. International questions, international at southpolytech.ca. Once again, I know I keep saying it, that information will be in the follow-up email that will be sent to you soon. And as we said before, this will be posted to YouTube within, I don't know, the week or so on. I will make sure to send a link to everyone for that playlist. That I think it's like an orientation playlist or however they're going to do it this year. So again, if there's anything you missed or you had to step out or something like that, because I know we didn't really give you a break because it was a lot of information, you can always rewatch things on that. Heather, would you want to maybe show again where to find that proof of enrollment? Just because we're here.
Yeah, I do. So that was right
Again,
there.
anyone that needs to
Again,
go, and that includes my lovely colleagues, if you do need to leave, all good. You're welcome to go.
so proof of enrollment is enrollment services. So again, you might have to add that card by going to up here to this little hamburger menu and Discover and searching for it. enrollment services, and then there's a lot going on. Enrollment verification is right there. If you click on that, you should be able to get it pretty much immediately.
So the proof of enrollment, that's just for there's just like, sometimes if you're applying for a scholarship or if you're an international student and they, request or like it's just if it's required of you for anything, like I don't know, what else, Heather? What else would a proof of enrollment be used for?
Well, there's a lot of things. Often if you get like a scholarship or if you get funding through like an outside organization, they might ask for proof of enrollment. So it just might pop up.
Yeah. And
Even if you have line of credits at the bank or something for education, they might also want proof of enrollment.
Yeah. So don't feel like you have to go find that unless you're specifically asked to. And just remember, it's not the same as transcripts, right? It just means that like, yes, I am attending this school. That's really what it is. There was another question. Melissa, you're asked about an ID photo if you gave a wrong ID photo. I'm not sure. Because I mean, if you mean that you took a student ID photo and you don't like yourself in the picture, I mean, I'm sure you could take a new picture. I think that's just going to cost you $15. But I'm not sure in terms of giving an ID photo, what that would be referring to. But anyway. Okay, maybe we'll get, if there's one or two more questions, then I think I'll let you all go because, well, again, if you're not in Saskatchewan right now, I'm not sure what time it is, but either way, I assume it's the end of the day for a lot of us and maybe like the middle of the night for a ton of you if you're not in Saskatchewan right now or maybe not even in Canada. And Melissa, I'm sorry if I further confused anything. You are welcome to email student engagement. I'll put that one more time in the chat. Student engagement at saskpolytech.ca. Again, you're going to get an email from that email very shortly here. So that's an email you've probably heard a lot from already, and you're probably sick of us, but there's more of us where that came from. Okay, well, I think on that note, I think we will wrap it up unless Heather McMaster or Savannah. Oh, Savannah's outie. She's gone. Heather, is there anything you want to add or that I may have missed? No. You shouldn't. Oh, sorry. That's a great question, Juliet. You just need an ID. So if the only ID you have is a passport, then okay. But yes, thank you. A government issued ID. You do need to bring that for your student card. Thank you for asking that, Juliet. That was a great question. You're welcome, Blair. And Blair, thank you for remembering the dates of things when I couldn't, even though I'd been posting these everywhere. So Blair, you're the real MVP. And Ismaila, okay, I'll probably just answer this. And then, again, anyone else can hand out if you want. But if you need access to a computer, so first of all, we have computers all on campus that you just log in with your Sask Polytech email and your password. So, but in terms of like using like a laptop, we have a laptop basically like loan system that is loaned out similarly to like a library book. So, 3 weeks at a time and so on. But unfortunately, it's not something that you'll own. But if you do have other questions about that, again, reach out to student engagement. But yeah, in terms of laptop loaning, that is an option that we have. Okay, you're welcome. And yes, there are printers. There are printers at campus. It's 25 cents per per color page and 10 cents per black and white. I think, Heather. She's gonna type it. Yeah. Yeah, it's we can go to the library page and there should be information. I believe it's 10 cents for black and white per page, and I think it's like 20 to 25 cents for color. But again, everything electronic on campus, that whether it's like a printer, scanner, computer, all the login is the same. It is just your Sask Polytech ID or email, I'm sorry, with your password. You are welcome. All right, I'm going to stop it there because then we won't leave till 5:30. Okay, thank you all for coming. You're full of even more knowledge than you could have imagined now, and we'll hopefully see you at those Q&A sessions, and then of course, welcome week. All right, see ya.